Hi, it's Sam. I'm back with the Faux Midori Traveler notebook. Um, this is what it turned out like color-wise. Sorry, the light is so glaring today. You can kind of see the dragonfly in the corner and the little swirlies, sort of. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. They're there. And you can see the coloring, how it varies. Here I just spilled some soda on it last night, because, why not spill soda all over the desk? I said before that I needed to punch a hole and make the elastic that goes around the outside edge, and I have punched the hole. You can see that it is totally different color than the rest of the book, but rather than try and pull out the stain and restain it again, I figure I'm going to use this. I can live with that. So I punched the hole, and then you can see there's the four. I ended up with 4 elastics. Each of these can hold an individual booklet or folder, envelope, whatever you want to put in there to hold whatever you need. So I've already cut the elastic. I cut it. Wow. I cut it just a little longer than the book itself. As you can see there, we're only, maybe an inch longer. So what you do is you fold it in half. You can either do this one of 2 ways. You can tie it in a knot, like just a round knot, and fish it through with like a crochet hook or something, which I don't own, so we're not going to do that, obviously. So what I am going to do is I'm going to feed these two, the 2 ends of the cord, through the hole from the outside in. Maybe. And again, if the ends of the cord get too frayed, you can always heat them with a lighter and just roll them in your finger, and that'll make them pointy like the end of a shoelace. Alright, so line them up, and then just make a round knot like you're tying a balloon, or something like that, or the end of a thread. Okay. Put it wherever you want, and then test it before you pull it to make sure that it's not too tight or too loose. That is pretty good. Once you get a bunch of stuff in there, here, I'll just put a bunch in to show you. Once you get a bunch of stuff in there, that's got to go around all of the stuff that you put in there, and, the cover as well. So, now if it's too loose, everything's going to fall right out. If it's too tight, then it's going to end up wearing too quickly and it's going to snap. For this, I've already been using this, so I already know roughly where I need it, and I need to actually tie it a little bit shorter than that. So I just pull a little bit more through, and do it again. If you do tie it a second time, you can always just cut it off. I'm gonna leave it in case I get more stuff and I need to loosen it up some, because if you get more stuff in there, the thicker this gets, you're gonna need obviously more give on your rubber band. So, just take that into account. So now if I put all this stuff back in here, that's perfect. It doesn't pull the sides too much, and it's gonna hold it in there. It's not in the rubber band, so obviously it's not gonna hold it in completely, but it's gonna, things aren't just going to fall out of the front of it, like pens and stuff. It'll actually hold a pen in there if you stuff it in one of the books. Just kind of hold it in there. Alright, so before I said I was going to show you how to make inserts for this. I have room for four inserts technically. Now, the reason why I say technically is, I'll cut that off later. The reason why I say technically is because you can add more than 1 insert per elastic piece. In the case of this is the pages that I showed you before that I kind of just was sewing to see if I could figure out how to do a certain stitch that I kind of made a mess of it, but irrelevant. So ideas and doodles, it says, and it also says to add a cover, which I will do eventually, but not in this, not today, not in this video. So we'll set that aside. When I was at Michael's the other day, I found these four anyway, little notebooks. I taped them together in the middle. I'm sure you can see the shiny tape there. I taped them together in the middle, and I plan to tape these together to make a pocket. And then I have been, like I said, I've been using this already, so I had them inserted just like through here, through one of the, where the books are sewn together. So I just literally just put it in there like that, and that was it. I didn't want to do a whole lot to these because I wanted to show you what I did. I just stuck stickers on the outside of that because why not? So first of all, if you can find something cheap like this in clearance, I think they were, all four of them were like $2 or $3, something like that, in one pack. If you can find something cheap like this, I say go for it, and why waste your time trying to make your own little books and giving yourself, you know, a headache for no reason. I started to make this one into a calendar. You know, as you can see, I got some months in there just in the beginning. And then I was using, I can't remember what, Chronodex it's called. It's like a little round clock-based type of calendar. I don't know that I really love that whole, can you see that? I don't know that I really love that whole style. So I ended up just printing out, let me find the camera here. I ended up printing out these, which are just from Outlook. You can go into Outlook and print like to a page, and if you're really talented, you could probably do it two-sided. I am not. So they're all one-sided, and I was just going to tape them into the book as such. So they're a week at a glance, and that's plenty for me because I write decently small, and I don't really, you know, I don't really need all that extra space. And I probably only put in a few in case I decide to change the style of the calendar that I'm using again, because I do it all the time. I have issues with day planners, and I have not found one yet that is perfect for my purposes. Someday I will. Someday. So we'll put that back in there so I don't lose it. It's a tattoo I gotta do later. Alright, so what I'm going to show you today, I know I've been talking for probably 10 minutes already, what I'm going to show you today is quickly how to make a two-pocket folder to go in here. And then if I have time, I'll show you some other stuff. But first and foremost, that's what we're going to do. So we're using Recollections from Michael's. It's Michael's brand name. 65-pound, 8.5 by 11-inch cardstock. We are going to make the folder using these two pieces. The first piece is going to stay 8.5 by 11, and we're going to score it in half to make the outside of the folder. And then this piece here we're going to cut down to 9.5 by 6.5 to make the two pockets. So 9.5 first. Nope, I'm recording. Alright, 9.5 first. Then 6.5. Set the cutter aside. Get your stylus. Take your full-size sheet, your 8.5 by 11 sheet, and score it at 5.5. Make a nice clean crease. That will be folded like that. This next piece is going to be your two pockets. So you're going to score it a 1/2 inch all the way around all four sides. So 1/2 inch, turn, 1/2 inch, turn, 1/2 inch, turn, and 1/2 inch. From there, you're going to take this piece that you just made with all four sides scored, and a ruler, and you're going to decide whether or not you want a 3-inch pocket, which is that long, or a 2-inch pocket, which is that long, and you're measuring from the score line up. Depending on how wide you have the pocket is how much of an angle you're going to have. So if you have a 3-inch pocket, which is a nice deep pocket, you know, you can fit a lot of things in there, but the score, or the edge of the pocket's angle is only going to be very slight, because you have to have 3 inches here as well, so you're going to make a really shallow angle on the pocket. If you do a 2-inch pocket, it's going to be a rather sharp angle, which is what I'm going to do because I do like the look of that. So all you need to do is get a pen and measure again from the score line where they cross up 2 inches and just put a little tick mark. Turn it all the way around to the other long side and do the same thing. Measuring up from the score line up 2 inches and put a little tick mark. That's going to give you this sharp of an angle on your pockets, and that's going to make your two, you know, you're going to have 2 pockets. So I'm going to use the cutter to cut it, and all you're going to do is, on this type of cutter there's a wire that goes in here as a guide for the cutter. So I'm going to line up the 2 tick marks with that wire, and then I'm going to cut it there. That'll give me a nice clean edge. So hold it down and cut it. And then you have 2 matching pockets. So we're going to put all this away. Set it aside your scraps. You're going to cut off this short edge at the score line. I don't know if you can see the score line I made on there, but there's a score line right here. So you're going to cut off just inside the score line, straight, and if it's not straight, make it so, or relatively so. And then do it again with the other one. There you go, get rid of those. Your next thing you're going to do is you're going to cut. Alright, so you have a score line here and a score line here. You're going to cut across this corner diagonally where they crisscross, making that cut. Then you're going to just angle this edge. Doesn't have to be anything dramatic. This one, this really pointy one, has to be pretty dramatic so that when you fold that under, nothing shows up here. So like that. And then you're going to fold it under and double check to make sure that nothing shows on the outside, which it does not, if you can see that. So then you have a nice mitered corner here. Nothing sticking out there, nothing sticking out there. And you're going to do that again with the next one. The reason why you cut this edge off is so that when you put these 2 pockets into here, there's not going to be a ton of bulk in the middle. Because when you close this, if there's a bunch of bulk, it's going to either wrinkle here on the pocket, or it's going to push the whole thing out, which you obviously don't want that. That would look terrible. So, again, we're going to do this one. Relatively sharp angle here. Whoops, didn't do that one too good. Straight across, and just a notch. Get rid of all this junk. Get out your tape. If you have 1/2-inch tape, life will be easy for you, and I would use that. If you do not have 1/2-inch tape, use whatever you have and make it work. So I'm using 3/8 inch and 1/8 inch because that would equal a 1/2, and that's all I have. I have a whole bunch of 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch, and I don't know why. And your 1/8 inch to fill in the gap. this one here, we got to make sure that if the tape is on that side, that the tape is on the other side so that your pockets can be in the right direction. So I'm just going to put this tape on while it's in my hand, because I know that the other one will fit right in with it. Whoa, come back here. Like that. And then put your next one in. It's getting pretty close to the score line, but not right on top of it. You don't want any adhesive sticking out when you're trying to put this in your book, because it'll just make a mess. It's not worth it. Try to be relatively neat with the adhesive so it doesn't make a big old mess and stick all over everything and anything around it. If you want, you can always put the adhesive on and then cut your angles. That is an option. That would probably save you a step. I wanted to show you what I was doing, so I didn't want to have a bunch of tape in the way. If I was doing it for myself, I probably would do the tape first and then cut all the angles. It's just the way I usually do it. For some reason, every time I show something like this, I feel compelled to put the tape on after. So that's what you get. Alright. Last one. Oh my goodness, I cannot get the tape off my fingers. Lordy. Jeebus. Alright, so you're going to fold these in. So the adhesive is like that. Okay? Then you're going to take your bone folder and burnish them down. And make sure the adhesive's really burnished down too, because if you do that, it makes it adhere to the paper better, and it'll also, if you do it after you get the pockets on, you know, just rub it down, that'll make it adhere better to the base of the folder. Couldn't think of the word. Alright. So, this is the base, like I showed you already. All I usually do is take one end. I like to work from the bottom up, so whichever. It's up to you, whatever's more comfortable. So I take the bottom, and I line up the sides in the bottom corner, make sure they're where I want them, and then just press it down. Fold it forward, pull off the other backing, and fold it up, and make sure that my edge is lined up before I press it down. Burnish it down with bone folder, and repeat. Backing off the bottom. Line it up where you want it. Press it down, fold it forward, remove the backing, line it up where you want it, and press it down. Burnish it with the bone folder, and voila, you have a folder with two pockets. So I'm going to take the 1/2 inch corner rounder and just round the outside corners, these two, because if you round these and then you stick it in that band, the band's going to pull on that and it's going to actually rip it right down the middle. It's going to be a little bit stronger if you don't do that. And you can also, I suppose you could probably coat it with some like packaging tape, like this type of stuff, that would also be an option to make it even a little bit more strong. You can, if you want to, add decorative paper to this, like scrapbooking paper to the outside or inside of this, and inside of this. That's up to you. If you do it, you want to make sure that you have a very thin paper, just because you don't want to add too much bulk to everything. You know, you're going to have a lot of books and papers and whatever all else in there. If you use it as a real travel journal, you're going to have all kinds of stuff in there. So you don't want to have to add too much bulk just to add pockets. So you have the option of, you can make it out of this type of heavy stock pattern paper, or you can add lightweight scrap paper to this. This can go in here. Ignore that was my first run. So this can go in here simply like this on its own, as its own piece if you wanted to, which is perfectly fine, you know, it's nice. You can also add it as a cover to something like this. That way you have a little notebook in between your pockets. If you did that, I wouldn't obviously put two of them in between there. It's just these are already taped together, so I can't take them apart and show you. So you can add that in there like that, and then, you know, then you have a notebook with the pockets in there, and all is well in the world. It's up to you which way you go on that. You can also just fold in half some like copy paper, you know, just some copy paper, and stick that in there. That's an option too, so you can just have some doodle paper or whatever to write on, you know, and then when you fold it up, then you have your folder with your notebook paper. It's all a matter of what you need. The whole thing with these Midori Travelers, or my faux Midori Traveler as it were, the whole thing with Traveler's notebooks is that you have paper to take notes, that you have a place to put your boarding passes and your passport and all that stuff, and a day planner to keep your schedule, and, you know, just places to keep things, all the kinds of stuff you would need if you were backpacking across the countryside or something. So that is part 2. Next time I think I'm going to show you the, I'm not sure, I think maybe the notebook, how to make a notebook. If not, I also wanted to show you how to make a business card holder and somewhere to put money or something like that. So that's another option of what I might do next. We will see. See you next time.